This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Chilly morning in Nashville. Welcome. It's the Acuff House Studio, our studio radio home and museum home for Behind the Airwaves, our 100-year history interactive museum display. Just off the studio here, but as we look out, we're getting ready here in a few hours. Big red curtain, 7 o'clock. Well, actually, we're back at the Ryman, aren't we, tonight?
Ryman tonight, yes.
And in Opry House tomorrow night.
Who's doing it tonight? Is it you?
I think it's Mike. I think he and Charlie swapped up somehow. I'm not.
There's always a slight bit of panic. We look at each other and we're like, is it you? Is it me? Who's it? Oh, is it tonight? Do I need to get? I just need to make sure. I know we're going to be.
But
got a lot of shows.
We talk about 100 years of WSM and the Grand Ole Opry. Here's what's particularly special. And thank you, Annie Nye. She's producing this morning. Eric Markham is here. We got Jeff Roberts, Rock Solid Roberts, in Master Control upstairs. Kelly Sutton with entertainment.
Yeah.
Ralph Stanley II is coming to see us, and that's special in the Opry's history because it marks an anniversary for his daddy. I'll tell you about that.
Aww.
But who was the first country performer on this date? Kelly Sutton, January 17th, 1945. The big war was coming to an end.
Okay.
To record in Nashville.
The first to record?
Country artist to record in Nashville.
Oh, that's a great question.
1945.
That was like the beginning of the Quonset Hut.
And he was a star at the Grand Ole Opry.
Okay. Was it Roy? Was it Mr. Roy? No. I don't know.
One of the great voices ever. Belonged to the redhead from Berea, Red Foley.
Okay.
And guess where he recorded first?
I'm not sure.
WSM's Studio B.
Really?
I'm assuming that was at National Life and Accident Insurance Company.
Yeah. I know that the first whole setup that really took off on Music Row was around the Quonset Hut and that whole area, and that's when the studios got started. But that was like late 40s, early 50s, right? That would have been more 50s.
WSM. Of course, later on, we created what was known as Castle Recording Laboratory.
Which is still great.
Isn't it?
It's still
we
great.
Still used it.
Yeah.
But at Studio B at WSM, he did Tennessee Saturday Night, Blues in the Heart, and Tennessee Border. First three songs. Red Foley recorded, first country artist to do it in Nashville in the mid-40s.
Oh, that's so cool. Hey, well, this is not Nashville, and he's not recording, but he is performing out in the middle of a field. Tim McGraw, Field of Dreams. This is so cool. I've got all the details on that concert coming up. Plus, Maggie Rose on Jimmy Kimmel. She's one of ours. We love her. We've got the clip, just in case you missed it, and it was past your bedtime. Stay tuned. And the Darius selfie that has gone viral. This is one of my favorite stories that I've read in quite a long time.
So Tim McGraw is outstanding in his field. Is that what you're telling me?
Outstanding in his field. That's exactly right.
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
We're in the presence of royalty as it relates to country music and its rich, rich history. And here at WSM and the Grand Ole Opry, we're talking about a nearly 100-year history this fall, Kelly, when on October the 5th, WSM turns 100. And in November, about 6 weeks later, around Thanksgiving, the Grand Ole Opry will turn 100. And a part of it along the way, the Stanley family name, the Stanley brothers. And this morning, Ralph II. But they don't call you that. You're two.
That's what Dad always called me. He called me too, yeah. He always made sure I knew I was two. Yeah, that's right.
So anytime there's a reference to you, it's Ralph II.
Yes, sir.
Great to see you again.
It's great to be here with y'all this morning.
We just reminisced, Kelly, that he and I met probably, you said what year, 95 you started?
I believe it was 94 or 95. I just started singing lead for Dad at that time. Yeah, that's been, 30 years ago?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Been a long time.
Can you remember the first gig where he was like, you're taking this one?
Well, the first gig that I started singing lead was, I remember the state. We was in Alabama, but I don't remember the exact town, but I remember that was the official day. It was August 8th of 1995, yeah.
Wow.
So.
And how did you get to that point? Did you know it was coming one day, or?
When I was a small boy, of course, I was around the music all my life. So I started, putting little hats on and ties and things around the house. So Dad took me on the road, and I traveled with the boys. I've been traveling for a long time, and since I was about 3 or 4 years old. And so when I got up to about 12 years old, I started really realizing, even more what a great music my dad and that had, and Carter that started, and also like Keith Whitley, Ricky Skaggs, Charlie Sizemore, a lot of great band members that I heard that I also like to hear. And so I watched a video of Dad when Keith was singing lead for Dad, and that really just floored me. And I said, I want to do that. I want to play guitar and sing lead for Dad, and that's kind of how it started. And so just about 4 years later, I got my dream there on that.
So give us a backstory, a little history on this way I recall it, as I've been told through the years from Ricky. I knew Keith, but very briefly before his passing. But were they not opening one night or just like an opening act or warming up the crowd at a venue, and your dad was headlining?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And he walked in and heard them doing a Stanley Brothers song.
Yeah.
And said he had never heard anybody spot on like that since he and your Uncle Carter.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He had a show scheduled in Fort Gay, West Virginia, just across the way from Louisa, Kentucky. So Ricky and Keith was young, of course, and their parents took them to the show. They was in the audience, and Dad had a flat tire on his, I guess he was traveling in a camper or something back then. I don't know if he had a bus at that time, but he'd had a flat and he was late. So they asked them, Ricky and Keith, to get up and occupy the crowd till he got there.
How about that?
So when he pulled in, he heard them singing. He thought they was playing Stanley Brother records. And then he walked in and saw those two young boys singing it, and he said, if y'all want to or go on the road with me, you can start, like next week or whatever,
Kind of hired him on the spot.
Yeah, hired him on the spot.
And how old were they?
They was around probably 15, 16, 17 years old, I think, yeah.
Wow. Was Charlie Sizemore there yet?
No, Charlie come after Keith left, singing lead for Dad. He sung for Dad around 7 years, and Charlie came in about the time that I was born, 78, 79 range, yeah.
Well, you're playing the Opry this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very special, not only just because it's the Opry and it's the 100th year countdown, but it's significant in your father's career and now in your life. Tell them what's happening.
Well, it's great to be doing it. I'm so honored and flattered about that. But my dad, this 25th anniversary, this January 15th, 2000, he became the full-time member of the Grand Ole Opry, and I never seen him any happier in his life when that happened. And and he was the first artist to go in the new millennium too, and that's even more special with it. So when 100 years from now or 100 years from 2000 goes by, then he'll be the one that went in at the last century, So.
And I think about the success of Old Brother, Where Art Thou, and the soundtrack, and Old Death, and he was there was a resurgence in popularity for people to know who Dr. Ralph Stanley was, right?
Oh yeah, everybody knew him, and he had made a mark, but that really put him over the top and made people realize, what they'd been missing, I guess, and what he was. Yeah.
What do you think about that part of the show business and the movies, and how quickly he was internationally known?
I was so tickled to death to see that. He deserved every bit of that. He had paved so many roads, and so many young artists that grew up, became stars, themselves, that grew up listening to his music, and that he deserved every moment of that. I was so thankful for him. Yeah.
I got a great story to tell you. I was interviewing him for Great American Country in the Master Series television show. We're at the Hall of Fame, Precious Jewels exhibit. So now you've got the setting. And just off the cuff, I said, if they did a movie of your life, what star would you want to play Dr. Ralph Stanley? Well, I don't know. And I just knew in that moment, Ralph, that he was not going to know who Brad Pitt was. And I said, I got an idea. Brad Pitt, sexiest man in Hollywood. All the women want to be with Brad Pitt. He's an international sex symbol, most sought-after actor in Hollywood. And there was this long pause and a twinkle in his eye, and that hat was cocked just right. And he said, well, that'd be all right.
That sounds just like it, yeah.
That understated sense of humor, that the grin came across his face. Yeah. It's a treasured memory.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was a great. He was just old fashioned. You couldn't beat that. You know,
he was a mountain man.
Mountain man. Yeah.
And the Clinch Mountain Boys is a band. Are you coming up on 80 years?
Yeah. It started as Stanley Brothers and the Clinch Mountain Boys, 1946 to 1966, and then my Uncle Carter passed away.
Right.
And then Dad went on as Ralph Stanley and the Clinch Mountain Boys, and then when he passed away, he asked me to keep the band name going. He said there'll still be a Ralph Stanley and the Clinch Mountain Boys. So we're keeping it going, and in 2026 we'll be 80 years. It's 79 years this year.
Wow.
So we're hoping the good Lord will let us make it to next year to get there. Yeah.
Well, Winds of Change, that's where we're going musically in this first segment. Is this an original song? Or
yeah, it's an original song. Billy Droz, a good friend of mine, a great songwriter, singer. You might know Billy, and he wrote this, and I've been recording some with him, and I think this is a great song. It's been doing real well for me.
Great. Get you to play live in the second segment here. Ralph Stanley, Ralph the two, as we said. The second is here, and the Clinch Mountain Boys are at the Opry. They're playing Opry 100 tonight at the Ryman Auditorium, and we'll be back at the Opry House here before the month is out.
From WSM Radio, this is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Ralph 2's here, as Eric mentioned, playing the Opry 100 tonight at the Ryman Auditorium. And the 25th anniversary of Dr. Ralph becoming the first Opry member to be inducted in the new millennium. That was the 15th of January in 2000. Where did he get his doctorate? Remind me, if you would.
It was 1976, Lincoln Memorial University in Harrogate, Tennessee. And later, Yale gave him one, too.
Yale?
Yeah, he got an honorary doctorate from Yale.
Well,
That's
there's that.
impressive.
There's that.
Yeah. But originally, it was at Lincoln Memorial University, Harrogate, Tennessee.
That's pretty cool.
1976.
Run the lineup that surrounds Ralph 2 tonight at the Ryman.
Well, you know who's coming back tonight? Dr. Jeannie Seeley, who also got her doctorate from Lincoln Memorial.
Absolutely did, yes.
So she's going to be a part of the lineup. Susie Boggess is there, John Conley, Gary Muledeer, Evan Horner, Lanco, Restless Roads. We got some boy bands happening tonight. Ralph 2 and the Clinch Mountain Boys will be there as well. It's all happening at the Ryman. So their last show at the Ryman, and then we come back to the Opry House.
What are you going to play first?
Well, I thought we'd go back. I recorded a song in 2012, I guess, or something like that. I believe it's 2012. Stonewall Jackson did an old song called Bluefield. You might remember it. I just changed it around and put a new melody to it, and it's done real well for me. It's on a CD of mine called Born to Be a Drifter. And
if people want to follow up on how to get your music, where do they go?
Yeah, they
What's
can
the
go
best
to
place?
ralph2.com and go to the store there, and also I'm on all the streaming platforms and all that, too. So.
All right.
And this is a Clinch Mountain Boy. Been with me 3 years, and he was actually named after my dad. And his name is Stanley Cyndi, and he's going to help me play this today. The mandolin really makes this song sound good, I think.
It's Jesse McReynolds did that on the mandolin, didn't he? He made that
mandolin,
cross-picking thing famous.
Yeah, and he's from Coburn, Virginia, as well as I am. Coburn, Virginia.
The Clinch Mountains.
Yeah, back in the God's country, everybody says, around home. So
I sure appreciate you coming to see us this morning.
I appreciate you having us, and I listen to you a lot, and you've always been a good friend to the family, and I know Dad sure thought the world of you too, Bill.
I thought the world of him. Ralph II is here this morning, and the Clinch Mountain Boys, as they close in next year on their 80th anniversary, and they're playing Opry 100 tonight, as it should be, at the Ryman Auditorium. What was the A-Cuff story about your hair?
Oh, yeah, talking about hair, we was talking about it earlier. Dad always, his lead singers would fix his hair. Keith Whitley done his hair. Charlie Sizemore done his hair all the time. So Keith started getting the perm, the body, and so Dad did too. And so when I got up to about 8 or 9 years old, I had to get a perm. Mom got me a perm. So I had curly hair, and Roy Acuff was introducing Dad on the Opry. It was about 1988. So he was saying something. He said, "Ralph, it's real good to have you here at the Opry, and I was glad to see your little granddaughter with you."
Somehow from his living room, I know he's hearing that story this morning and he's smiling.
Yeah, that's right.
Hillbilly Heaven, Ralph II on
sir.
Coffee, Country, and Cody. Thank you, pal.
Thank you.
Back with Kelly Sutton. top stories in entertainment this morning. And I don't know what you got, but I just know you got a lot to cover. I know a few of the things.
Hey, I don't know what you got, but you talk a lot. Hopefully you got something to say.
Cyndi Thompson's coming to see us. That's always great. It's been a while since we've seen her. She got a new single. This could be your theme. Acres of Diamonds. Acres of Diamonds is the single that we will feature, and we'll get caught up here in just a little bit. She's playing the Bluebird on February 1st with Mae Estes, Ryan Larkins, Paul Sykes. It's in a live hospice benefit, and the new EP will be out this spring.
Well, I think we are going to have to road trip to Iowa. Now, I know it's probably not on your destination list of places you really want to go, but after I tell you this, I think you would want to be there.
Okay.
Very cool. We found out there's going to be one special night that's happening in a field in Iowa, and it's all about Tim McGraw, Field of Dreams concert. Isn't this cool? So if you remember, that iconic movie came out in 1989, Field of Dreams. The actual farm is a 193-acre farm, and it is in Dyersville, Iowa. Still there. Look at it. We got some pictures for you all over streaming on CircleCountry.com. So you can see the pictures there. One night only, they are going to do a night with Tim McGraw, August the 30th. I just think that's so cool because, of course, his father, Tug McGraw, World Series champ, played for the Mets and the Phillies, and he's got such a baseball connection. But to be able to do one night in the Field of Dreams, that is going to be very special. If you want to get some ticket information, VIP package, all of that, it's going on sale on January 20th for VIPs and then 24th for general admission. But you can go to Tim's site to find out more.
It's just off Route 20 and Dyersville, Iowa. Population 4,477.
Can you imagine what it's going to be like when everyone descends on Dyersville?
64,000 people there. So.
People are going to go, you can park in my field for $10. They're going to have up a sign, and they'll let you park there if you're real nice. Okay, nothing is better than watching one of our own just achieve a bucket list item, and that happened for Maggie Rose. She was on Jimmy Kimmel Live. She has just been knocking it out of the park. Not only is she Grammy nominated, but now her song is catching on, and it was so fun to see her. And now the world is finally discovering the talent of Maggie Rose, and she looked beautiful in her little baby bump on display.
Little Margaret Durante from Potomac, Maryland.
I remember those early days. Yeah. It was just so fun to watch. So if you want more, if you want to catch up with Maggie, if you want to hear that entire album, highly recommend that you do that. You can go to her website. And of course, she's a regular on the Grand Ole Opry. We get a chance to hang out with her a lot.
She's also a Clemson Tiger. A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
That's where she went to school. Absolutely.
That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is a great story. You know, you see somebody famous and you're like, I just really want a picture with that person. It might feel a little weird to go up, but I don't know if I'm ever going to see them again. I want photographic evidence that I met them. All right. So here's where it all happened. It was in South Carolina. Darius Rucker, he's having dinner with one of his friends. Some girls recognize him and they're like, oh, it's Darius Rucker. We have to get our picture taken. So they walk over and Darius's friend is standing there and they ask, can we take our picture with you? And Darius said, sure. And so they hand their camera to his friend and Darius begins to laugh at this point. And you know his laugh is the best. So he's cackling and he said, I cannot wait to tell this story. And the girls don't know why. Well, the friend that they handed their camera to take a picture of them with Darius was Woody Harrelson. And Woody decided he would take a selfie on their phone so that later...
So glad that he had the presence of mind to go, oh, you know what?
So that later they would have it and go, oh my gosh, it was Woody Harrelson. But just the fact, the setting of it is so beautiful because it's like, hey, can we take a picture? And Woody's thinking he's probably going to be in the picture, and then they hand him the camera to take the picture of them with Darius. So beautiful moment. They're sharing it, and now it's going viral. Darius shared it on his social media, and he said, this is my favorite story to tell. But then he has this great story of Woody saving his life.
Yeah, you were telling me that.
Isn't that crazy? Okay, so Darius has a book out.
In an ocean accident or near accident?
They were hanging out together. Apparently, they went swimming in the ocean, and Darius got pulled out by a riptide. And he said, I was out there struggling. And Woody realized I was really having a hard time. And so he came out. And at one point, Darius said, go and leave me. We both don't have to die. That was the level of where they were. And Woody's like, I'm not leaving you. And I guess they kept fighting against it and finally got in on shore.
Talk about your ride or die friend, huh?
He said, we're brothers. That's what Darius said. But this has just, like, it has gone completely viral.
Did you know
I love that.
That he and Ted Danson have a podcast now.
Oh, that's right.
It's called Where Everybody Knows Your Name.
Yes.
And I heard the promo for it, and Ted said
it's Ted Danson and sometimes Woody Harrelson.
Yes,
because he's never there. So great. Okay, so if you didn't hear about it yesterday, Kenny Chesney, big announcement. He's going to be at the Sphere in Las Vegas. This is massive. They've been working on this for a year and kept it under wraps. And the way they announced it was this video, like a wave takes over the Sphere and fills it with sand, and then it drains like a snow globe. So the dates have been announced, 12 dates so far. Starts May 22nd, runs until June 14th. I think he really needs to get some tips on how to perform there from our buddy Vince Gill, who's been there with the Eagles. Because Vince admitted, he said, hey, I got to tell you, I had vertigo because it is so just all-encompassing, the Sphere. So good luck. But if you want tickets, those are going on sale very soon. You can get all the information at kennychesney.com.
Yeah, this is not your father's Oldsmobile. Remember that series from General Motors with Lisa Marie and Priscilla Presley? You remember that?
Completely different.
More coffee, country, and Cody is on WSM.
Guess who else is on WSM? Welcome back. It's kind of like, I don't know, third visit to the living room for you, Cyndi Thompson?
Yes, and I'm so glad to be here this morning.
You said you're just a little bit nervous, and we don't know why.
I don't. I just get a little nervous, so I don't know. It's not you guys. You guys make me feel at home. I love y'all, but it's probably just me.
I was going to say, don't be nervous. It's just us. We're just talking about jewelry and hair and handbags and everything else.
We are.
And we were reminiscing about the passing of Mel Montgomery and, of course, the great Buck White of the Grand Ole Opry family with Cheryl and Sharon and Rosie. But you picked up on that story of that era of country music stars, and it was Chet you were talking about.
Right. When I was living here, brand new living here, after I left Belmont, I was working 3 jobs, and on Sundays I'd go to Boston Market and get something that tasted like my mom's cooking, and my parents would give me a little cash, and I would go buy like meatloaf or chicken, and he was in there one afternoon on that Sunday with his buddies, and I went up and introduced myself and told him I came here to do country music, and he invited me to sit at the table with him, and I ate my food with him and his buddies, and he ended up telling me his mom's name was Cynthia too, so because that's my real name, but so
That's so
I
sweet.
know it was the coolest moment for me.
Chet Atkins connection. Well, we sit here in the Acuff living room. There's a picture that hangs just outside the studio of him sitting kind of where the edge of the console is, where Annie Nye, our producer, is sitting this morning. And he's got his arms kind of around his legs, kind of leaning forward, and he's watching television. And I swear, it looks like he's watching a country music show, maybe even an Opry show.
Probably.
Maybe.
And he's dressed up like maybe it was between shows. There was a matinee and an evening show, maybe, and he just came over to catch up and rest a little bit before he went back to the Opry House.
Awesome.
Of course, he was the Opry Park, the U.S. Opryland USA Park ambassador, and when he wasn't at the Opry, he was walking around here, meeting and greeting people, making sure you got your water break. Got to get you a cup of coffee.
That's great.
So what years were you at Belmont?
Oh gosh, 97, I think. I went to 97, 98. It was only like a year. That's all I could afford. And then I begged my parents to let me stay and to become a waitress, and I cleaned houses. I was a nanny, and I just knew I needed to stay so I could try to figure this whole thing out. So.
You were right here, though, in the prime of 90s country then.
Yes.
You were feeling and seeing everything that was going on around.
Mm-hmm.
Woo, nothing was hotter back then.
Does my memory serve me? Was it Trisha Yearwood that was the catalyst for you being a Georgia girl?
Absolutely. When I saw her singing She's in Love with the Boy on TV one Saturday, I was folding clothes. Each daughter got a chore on Saturdays, and I just stopped, and I looked at the TV, and I thought, what is that? I want to sing like that. I just fell in love with her. And actually, it was the first tour that I got to go on was with Trisha Yearwood. I thought my manager was playing a joke, but I did 5 or 6 shows with her, and it was the most amazing thing that is like, it's at the top of my list of things that happened to me in my career.
What do you remember about the first night? Where was it?
Well, I'll tell you, the first night was in New York. I can't remember well, listen, it was an outdoor theater, and it had the largest pipe organ. And it was just me and my guitar player. We played acoustic, and we got there, and he rented a convertible. We upgraded the car. We were going to make this real good. And we drove in to town, and she was actually at rehearsal. So I got a dressing room with my name on the door, went out to watch her rehearse, and she waved at me, and I thought she was waving at someone behind me. And she goes, "No, you." And I'm like, oh my gosh. But I had to have the stagehand walk me out onto the stage after they said, "Please welcome Cyndi Thompson, Capitol recording artist." My feet felt like they had concrete on them. So he's like, "Go. It's time to go. You need to walk." And I'm like, I can't. So he walked me to the microphone. And she listened.
Gosh.
The thing about, I love this. I didn't at the time because I was so scared, but she was listening in the dressing room to you sing. And of all the people in the world, for me, it was like, she's listening to me, you know, and she just treated me so beautiful. She's precious.
Have you remained friends over the years?
Yes. Well, I kind of, when I left, I kind of just, left, but we just had lunch recently, and it was really sweet right before Christmas. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So where is Tifton related to Monticello? Are they close?
They're about maybe 3 hours apart,
Oh,
2.5.
Okay.
Not too far, but yeah.
Good stuff.
I know. I love her.
That's so good. Well, we were talking too. You're doing something on YouTube, which I think is fascinating for everybody who is like, "Oh my gosh, I loved Cyndi. Where did she go? What was she doing?" This is like filling in the gaps.
She's
for
been in
everybody.
prison, y'all.
Yeah.
And
I've actually been to jail twice.
And
I'm not joking.
What? We need those stories.
Cyndi Thompson, the prison years, next on VH1's Behind
my
the Music.
gosh.
My mom's listening, and she's like, she just messed everything up.
Way to go, Mom.
I'll tell those stories. They're very funny. But no, I am doing a YouTube series called My World and My Words, and we're launching it on the 27th. And it's just kind of just a beautiful way for me to get to share about where I've been, what I've been doing, my heart. Just we're really excited about it. We've been working on it for a while, and we just want to do something a little different to build community and to just make sure people get to know me the way that's authentic and real. So we're excited.
That's amazing.
Well, there's a little timeline that I pulled up, and it says 1976, born, October 19th, Tifton, Georgia.
That date is wrong.
Okay, correct me.
It wasn't 1976. I am not that age.
Okay.
I'm joking.
Stick with that. I was like, look.
I'm absolutely joking. I was born then. Thank you for bringing that up on the radio.
Thank you.
And on television.
You notice it
television.
wasn't me.
It
I didn't
wasn't,
say
'cause
it.
Well,
No,
and
I
also
get
noticed
you.
that Kelly Sutton walked in the room. You were in the green room. You were rehearsing. And Kelly walked in and goes, "She's so beautiful. I'll have what she's having."
I said, I need the secrets, girl. I need the secrets. You
are
look
so
amazing.
beautiful. Thank you. Well, don't get too close.
In 2000, you signed with Capitol. You mentioned your Capitol and going out with
yes,
Trisha.
I did.
You released your first album, My World, in 2001. And then the next timeline says 2002, leaves recording career.
Yes, I did.
Dun, dun,
I don't know if
dun.
it was that abrupt. I don't think it was, that year exactly. But yeah, I just, and I'll talk about this in my series. A lot of artists talk about it now. They're very open about it. And, just that whole anxiety, fear. I was having panic attacks. To be on antidepressants, to do something that you love to do, and the outside world's looking in and thinking how beautiful it all looks, but inside you're just dying. I just felt like to preserve music, I needed to step away. And it wasn't a rash decision. I thought about it for a long time and kind of just kept it to myself as I processed it all.
Did the mental health, the emotional part of it, did that come gradually, or did you just wake up one day? Because you hear both sides of that story.
I feel like it was gradual. I'm a natural people pleaser, so we all know that just isn't real good to to have on your shoulders too heavy. So, which it's good to please people at some level, but there was just a lot. And I guess it was kind of gradual in some ways. And fame, I always say, is so unnatural. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just certain people, I just needed a little more help than I was available. And now it's just such a topic of conversation. And I'm so glad it is for artists, because I know a lot who struggle with fear and anxiety. And it's sad because it's music. Mm-hmm. You just want to sing. You just want to write songs. And when that enters in, it just complicates everything. Yep.
Were you and DJ married at the time?
We met while I was working in music, but we got married, I guess. And we did get married in 2002. Wait, I don't know when we got married. It's been 22 years. I love him so much. I really do, y'all. I mean, it's just.
And tell us about him producing this new record we're going to feature, Acres of Diamonds. And the fella next to you was a co-writer on it. There were three of you.
Dan Wilson. He is just the best. He's been a friend for years, and we wrote this with Jessica Roadcamp. She's listening. But yeah, I don't know, we just sat down one day. I had the title, and we just kind of all brought it to life. I think we all feel the way we do about Acres. You know, each one of us have a family, and we love our little life that we've built. And so for me, Acres is about where I've been and what I've been doing and what really matters to me and has mattered more than anything. And I think it's just, I said this yesterday on social media, it's just like the perfect song to come out with this EP with, like to have the first single release to talk about, you know, what matters, and here we go. So anyway, I'm excited.
Cyndi Thompson is here on Coffee, Country, and Cody, all over the world on WSM Radio. And as you...
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
So did you find out where to get the jewelry?
Yeah, it's on her website. You can go to CindyThompson.com, and there's no P in Thompson for everybody who's going to the website. I'm just pointing that out.
What happened to the P in Thompson?
I asked my daddy about that. It's Scottish, so there's no P for whatever reason in our that side of our family. But the other side's Appalachian, so I'm like, maybe that's why the P should come back. I don't know. Maybe change it up. I don't know.
Appalachian meaning
less fancy.
Hillbilly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Moonshiners. I have a song I wrote with Natalie Hemby a while back called Moonshiners and Preachers, because that's like what we are, my family.
Nice.
Yeah.
Both sides of the coin.
Yeah, we're just mixing it up.
Yin and yang.
I didn't realize, of all the things you've written, you wrote like 8 out of the 11 songs on that first album, My World, didn't you?
I did. Mm-hmm.
You and Gary Allen, you wrote Love Ain't Always Beautiful. I saw that in your catalog of songs.
Tommy James and I wrote most of My World together with some other writers here and there, which was awesome. But we wrote Life Ain't Always Beautiful for my second record that I didn't release. And I felt the day we wrote it, I was like, this is for a guy. I don't know why I'm feeling this. And he was kind of frustrated and like, well, okay. But did a piano vocal of it. He did that. One night we turned it into Sony, and my publisher and song plugger over there heard the song that night and took it to Gary in the studio. He was already cutting that record.
Oh, wow.
And had all of his songs, but he was like, you have to hear this song. And it just worked out, and I'm so proud of that. He was the perfect person to sing that, because at the time he was going through that really
he lost
hard
his wife,
season
right?
with his wife, yes. And so when he sang it, I was like, that was who that was for.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Well, that little edge in his voice, just like a perfect imperfection, if you will.
He's so good.
Made it beautiful.
It was magical. Like I
yeah,
couldn't
that's a good
usually
word.
because I wanted, and I'll probably end up cutting it at some point. But when I heard him, it was magnificent. So
Love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're talking about diamonds. So the jewelry, for everybody that doesn't know, you are an incredible jewelry designer.
And by the way, tell them your favorite color.
Diamond. That has been my favorite color for a long time.
Awesome.
But Hey Bell, Belle, not Hey Bale, but
Right.
Hey Bell, CO.
Yes.
.com is where you can find it as well.
Haybellco.com. Yeah.
And girl, you've got it on Lainey Wilson, and I see some on Kimberly Williams Paisley, and I mean, like, all these big stars are
Kelly
wearing your
Sutton.
stuff. I know. I need to.
I keep telling
we've
her.
talked about it. We've talked
I'm like,
about
if
it.
you ever need anything,
It's
I
coming.
will hook you up for the red carpets you do.
It's
so,
coming.
Okay.
ACMs this year.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna
help her out. We're gonna get her all
incredible.
fancied up.
But then, does that kind of lean into the song that you just wrote? With Acres
Actually,
of Diamonds?
it doesn't. But For hay bale, I just take things that are kind of discarded and broken, and I make them into something new. So I love antiques and just certain specific things like eagles and stars, and kind of rock and roll with beauty. I kind of try to mix them both. So, but no, I didn't think about that going together. When I came up with Acres of Diamonds, I just thought, this life that we've had for 22 years after leaving the industry has just been very simple. And to me, we have planted acres of diamonds with our kids, and just how we've invested in them and our marriage, and just investing in myself, and that just figuring some other things out, and starting a jewelry company, and just being a mama. I've loved every second of it. But now I'm leaving. I just can't stand those kids. Right. I love them.
How old are they?
Bella will be 20 next month, and Hayden will be 16 in March.
And what's Bella doing? Is she in college, or is she doing something?
She went to UT for a year, got into business school, and when she got there after the first year, she was like, this isn't for me. And so I said, what do you want to do? She said, I want to take vintage clothing and remake them. So she's been making clothes for Lainey Wilson. She just did those amazing black leather pants. With her stylist, Raina. Raina is like a vintage collector, and so Bella's dream is to have this amazing collection. So it's like perfect meld of people. She's been working with a couple other stylists, working with Carter Faith, helping. So she's kind of finding her little way. And I honestly have not really helped a lot. It's just her path. God opens doors and she walks through them. And, I'm a big believer in dreaming big, and that nothing's impossible. So I've kind of tried to instill that in my kids. Like, what I make them say, though, what do you want? Write that vision down and then run after it. So. And
what does your son want to do at 16? Does he know?
He wants to play in the NFL and, win the Heisman Trophy. He's got a little list of what he wants to do. Hey, listen, I'm all about yep, you can do that. So I never tell him no, but he's a great football player.
Guess what? If he wins the Heisman Trophy, he will play in the NFL.
I know, right?
Ooh, you could design the rings when they win the Super Bowl.
I know. That would be cool. Maybe just for the wives. I don't think the guys would want my.
Well, that's true.
Boy, this place filled up with music, didn't it?
I love that
Thank
song.
you so much, Cyndi.
Thank you.
And as well, Dan, it's great to see you always. Dan Wilson accompanying her, and a co-writer on Acres of Diamonds, wherever you get your music. It is out today. Bluebird on the 1st, February the 1st. You're doing a live hospice show.
Yes, I am.
And you'll be there with May Estes, Ryan Larkins, and Paul Sykes.
Yes,
what I have on my
great show. And tickets go on sale the 27th at 8 a.m.
Oh, perfect.
And they sell out within, 20 minutes. So.
And what's your YouTube series? What's the series going to be called?
It's called My World and My Words, and we'll be talking about it probably starting next week. So stay tuned.
All right.
Yeah, so excited.
You'll have to come back. Another reason for you to come back
I
and talk
know.
about
Whatever
it.
I can do to get back here, I'm always about it. So thank you.
Cyndi Thompson on Coffee, Country, and Cody.